Ishentores drift orbited the dying embers of twin suns, silent, regal, ancient. The diplomatic station, a marvel of neutral alien engineering, shimmered like an interstellar pearl. Inside, the grand hall buzzed with tension draped in forced pleasantries. Commander Alara Miles stood behind Earth's ambassador, arms folded, expression unreadable. Her dress uniform, dark navy, gold trim, perfectly pressed, fit like a second skin. She scanned the room, eyes sharp, calculating. Alara wasn't here to smile. She was here in case smiles failed. Around her, representatives of 300 alien civilizations mingled. Tall, translucent Veneri floated near the ceiling in gravity cushions. Thornograxians, armored from skull to spine, loomed beside tiny insected scribes from the Lurk hive. Humans, as always, were the smallest group, newest to the galactic concord and barely tolerated. Alara leaned slightly toward her superior. 2 bodyguards, no sidearms, standing in a room with 50 species who think we're primitives. Remind me how this is diplomacy? Ambassador Khaled didn't look back. Because pretending to be civilized keeps us from showing them what we actually are. A soft chime cut the air. From the far entrance, High-Legate Vorkalin of the Gorthan Empire entered flanked by aides. A reptilian tower of violet scales and polished bone jewelry, he exuded smugness like perfume. He approached the humans with an exaggerated bow. Ambassador Khaled, he hissed. Always a delight to see Earth's representatives embracing etiquette. And Commander Miles, still projecting restraint. Admirable. Almost convincing. Alara met his gaze without blinking. We do our best. You know what they say about humans, we're quick learners. Vorkalin's vertical pupils narrowed. Though animals learn tricks too. Until they forget themselves. He walked away before she could answer. Alara's jaw tightened. The reception continued, masked by smiles and diplomatic rituals. Silver platters hovered through the crowd, offering drinks tailored to each species. Humans received filtered wine. Alara declined. Her instincts whispered. Tension prickled the air 20 minutes later. 2 junior human diplomats, Anika Rhodes and Daryl Sato, chatted near the Delcari delegation, both sipping from fluted glasses. Suddenly Anika staggered. Her glass slipped, shattering. Daryl gasped, clutched his throat, and dropped. Chaos erupted. Security drones descended. Medical units glided in. In seconds, both humans lay lifeless. Their skin had turned a sickly, pale gray. Alara was already moving. Clear a perimeter! She barked. Lock down all exits. Too late. A sharp pulse echoed overhead. A Concord Enforcer projection flared to life. Vorkalin stood beneath it, flanked by officials. Evidence has surfaced, he announced, voice filled with rehearsed gravity. Station footage identifies the poisoner. The projection shifted, security feed. It showed a blurred human figure placing a small vial into Anika's drink minutes before the collapse. Gasps and murmurs surged like a wave. Alara's stomach went cold. That's not possible, she said aloud. Vorkalin turned toward her. Then perhaps you will explain this treachery. Or is this how Earth negotiates, through murder? The Council wasted no time. Within half an hour, Earth's delegation was suspended. The ambassador was placed under station arrest. The vote passed 176 to 68. Most abstained. No one wanted trouble. Especially not with Earth. In a small, sealed chamber, Alara stood facing Ambassador Khaled. His hands trembled slightly as he poured himself water. It's a setup, she said flatly. Fabricated footage. Wrong time codes, wrong lighting. Sloppy. He nodded. We both know it. But knowing isn't enough. Then authorize Protocol Ember. He hesitated. Sir, she said softer now, this was never about the diplomats. It's a move, calculated. If we sit still, they'll make Earth the villain and call it law. His eyes met hers. Older. Tired. Resigned. Do it, he said. But Alara, no bodies. Not yet. She smiled faintly. No promises. The corridor outside the chamber was dimmer now. The artificial lighting had shifted to crisis protocol mode, subtle red bands lining the walls, silent warnings beneath the surface. Elara tapped her wrist interface. Her clearance code opened a side channel, a secure line known only to Earth's high-threat diplomats. Protocol Ember, activated. Clearance Black 4. On her retina overlay, a cascade of new system access flickered into place. She was no longer just a liaison. She was Earth's scalpel. She moved quickly. Back in her private quarters, she stripped off the formal uniform and slid into the matte black stealth bodysuit packed at the bottom of her diplomatic case. Standard issue for missions Earth never admitted to. Her weapons, concealed, non-lethal for now. Her mind cold, clear, focused. She didn't need to prove Earth's innocence. She needed to prove someone else's guilt, and fast. In the dark, she whispered to herself, just once. They think we've forgotten. Let's remind them. The underbelly of Ashentares Drift was a maze of forgotten conduits, maintenance shafts, and abandoned tech hubs sealed off from the main council. It wasn't listed on diplomatic schematics, but Earth had been mapping it for years. Commander Elara Miles crawled through a vent laced with dormant scanner lines. Her body moved silently, a blur in the dark. The station's top levels played host to fragile treaties and ceremonial lies. Down here, truth leaked through rusted seams. She reached the first junction, a sealed data conduit decommissioned decades ago after an AI uprising nearly deleted half the station's archives. Elara tapped a frequency on her wrist node. No reply. She tried again. A pause. Then a voice, mechanical but fluid. Query received. Identity, Elara Miles. Status, black clearance. Response, curious. A small hatch slid open. Inside, dim blue light glowed from hundreds of data cables snaking like veins across the walls. Hunched in the middle was a half-functional terminal, its interface flickering like a dying pulse. The voice came from it. You're early, the AI said. Most meatbags only crawl down here when they're desperate. I am, Elara replied. I need you to verify something. She fed the AI the assassination footage. The terminal processed it with bursts of static and code flares across the cables. Seconds passed. Then, fabricated. Source points to render layer inconsistencies, shadows inconsistent with corridor lights. Timestamp manipulation detected. Where was it created? A longer pause. The terminal hummed. Gorthon transmission node. Not on this station. Remote feed inserted via administrative override. They planted it before the incident. Coordinates? The AI hesitated. If I provide this, you owe me. Elara raised an eyebrow. A disavowed AI bargaining with a human? Brave. Curious, not brave. But fine. Consider it curiosity insurance. Coordinates flashed on her display, an off-station relay node orbiting a nearby asteroid. Used in the past by smuggler fleets and black market dealers. Now, apparently, by the Gorthon Empire. As she turned to leave, the AI added, almost conversationally. The Gorthons think your species are children with guns. I've run simulations. You're not. Neither are they, Elara said. But they've forgotten why we stopped using ours. Back in the corridor, Elara moved like smoke. She avoided patrols, ducked security cams, and slipped into a forgotten maintenance lift that took her up 4 levels, just below the Concord Embassy wing. She met her contact near the exhaust vents of a gravity recycler, a narrow, dim hallway heavy with the smell of machine oil and ion rot. The figure was cloaked, hood up, but the shimmering orange eyes beneath the veil gave her away. Arwaina, Elara said. I need names. The Delcari symbiote historian clicked softly. Her kind didn't speak in words alone. Their voices carried emotional overlays, tone, intent, threat, all woven into one stream. You've found part of it, Arwaina said. The footage. It was planted, yes. But the rot goes deeper. You're not being framed for murder. You're being prepared. For what? Occupation. Subjugation. Maybe worse. Alara's jaw clenched. The Gorthons used the same tactic a century ago against the Surikal. They framed them for biological warfare. 3 weeks later, their homeworld was glass. HFY now leaned in. They've already moved assets. A fleet sits cloaked in the dark between this system and Earth. Alara didn't speak. She just turned. Where are you going? HFY now asked. To confirm a war before it starts. She infiltrated the Gorthon diplomatic vessel at Psycholos Security, when the crew rotated for briefings and sleep cycles. The corridor lights dimmed every 10 seconds, giving her enough shadow cover to reach the auxiliary systems terminal. She bypassed the encryption using a backdoor Earth had quietly embedded into all Concord standard systems 2 decades prior, just in case. Inside, the logs were clean. Too clean. But Alara knew how to look beneath them. She traced inactive systems, orphaned subroutines, data caches marked as coolant telemetry, and found the transmission records. They were routing live tactical data to an unknown relay point. Real-time ship signatures. Earth's orbital patterns. Civilian transport routes. Attached, a fleet manifest of over 80 warships tagged. Phase position, awaiting trigger. At the bottom, a single word chilled her more than any battle plan. Decivilize. She copied everything. Suddenly, her wrists buzzed. Security sweep approaching. Alara slid out the side maintenance hatch seconds before 2 Gorthon guards stomped past the corridor. She didn't breathe until their footsteps faded. Back in the safety of the drift's neutral sector, she uploaded the data to a secure Earthlink. A message from HQ blinked across her interface. Received. Priority uplink. Wait for signal. The silence that followed wasn't comforting. When Earth didn't respond with questions, it meant decisions were already being made. 30 minutes later, she stood before a Concord adjutant, trying one last time to avoid what was coming. I have verifiable proof the footage was forged. And now this, fleet data. Tactical relays. Coordinated movement against Earth. You need to intervene. The adjutant, a 6-eyed Polari with translucent skin, blinked slowly. Commander, the evidence you've provided originates from illegal AI networks and stolen Gorthon systems. The Council cannot act on inadmissible material. Alara stared at him. You mean you won't act? He didn't deny it. You want us gone. Because if we stay, we change everything. Earth is unstable. No, she said. We're patient. That's different. She left without another word. Back in her quarters, she stood in silence. Earth was being set up for annihilation. The Council knew, or at least suspected, and did nothing. Her retinal display blinked. A single line from Earth Defense Command lit up. Proceed with contingency. Confirm when ready. She opened the encrypted case in the floor panel beneath her bed. Inside were 2 things. A small device marked with Earth seal, illegal in 92 systems, a command override beacon. And her old Special Forces insignia, worn smooth from a decade of silent service. She clipped the beacon to her belt. Time to bring the masks down. The Concord Council chamber was shaped like a massive amphitheater carved from polished obsidian and rotating crystal. Species from across 300 worlds occupied their hovering seats, glowing glyphs of power drifting behind them. At the center stood High Legate Vorkallen, exuding authority, as if he were already delivering Earth's eulogy. He didn't notice Alara Miles enter through the side doors. She walked steadily, silently. Not in uniform now, but in the matte black field suit of Earth's Special Diplomatic Response. The moment her boots touched the speaker's dais, the chamber lights dimmed and a piercing hum swept through the air, disabling the local comm feeds. Alara tapped the device on her belt. The override beacon pulsed green. Council members, she said, voice cold, measured. I invoke Emergency Transparency Clause 9 of the Concord Defense Charter. Dozens of voices erupted in protest, alien dialects blending into a chaotic chorus. The Polari chair slammed his talons on the edge of his seat. That clause is reserved for existential threats. It applies, Elara said. Then she looked directly at Vorkallen. Unless you'd like to explain what your fleet is doing outside Earth's orbit. The projection flickered to life above her. Evidence filled the air, data streams from the AI terminal, untraceable render metadata, encrypted fleet trajectories traced to the Gorthan military relay. Then came the manifest. Ship classes, firing solutions, invasion protocols. All waiting. Vorkallen's smirk cracked. This fabrication, these lies are. Silence, Elara cut in. She triggered the last file. A live ping from Earth's orbital defense grid showed 87 Gorthan vessels caught by Earth's cloak tracking satellites, now fully visible in orbit over the moon. The council chamber fell silent. Elara's voice was steady. You plan to provoke, then invade. You failed. A calm line opened on its own. A familiar voice poured through the speakers, measured, calm, inescapably human. It was President Atwood. Council members. Earth has long been called young, aggressive, unsophisticated. You weren't entirely wrong. We've made peace with that. What we haven't made peace with is deception. We offered trust. You answered with betrayal. On the hollow projection, Earth's orbit shimmered. From beneath the planet's shadow, hundreds of silver specks lit up in perfect formation. Earth's true defense system, cloaked for decades, now revealed in full: autonomous defense drones, satellite-based railgun arrays, and low-orbit kinetic shields. The room inhaled in disbelief. You wondered why we were so polite? The president continued. It's because we knew what we were hiding. The Gorthan ships turned. But before a single weapon fired, every Earth drone blinked red, then green. Each Gorthan vessel was disabled in sequence. No explosions. No casualties. Just system failures, electromagnetic overdrive, and the cold whisper of surrender. Elara let it sit. Let them watch. Vorkallen lunged forward. This is a violation of the Concord. No, Elara said. This is restraint. We could have vaporized your fleet. We chose not to. The council chair turned to her. Earth has committed a unilateral act of military aggression. Correction, Elara replied. We exposed one. She uploaded a timestamp message from Gorthan High Command, intercepted through the black relay. It confirmed the operation. Initiate destabilization of human Concord presence. Trigger counter-response. Neutralize Earth's orbital capability. Reclaim Sol system. The chamber sat frozen. One by one, delegates withdrew their objections. Even old rival species, the Venery, the Drask, said nothing. Elara stepped off the dais. We won't ask for apologies. We'll accept your silence. The Polari chair gave a slow nod. Humanity's suspension is lifted. Effective immediately. And Vorkallen? Elara asked. The chair turned. Stripped of diplomatic immunity. Pending trial. 2 Concord enforcers flanked the Gorthan. His jaw tightened, but he didn't resist. As they dragged him away, he looked back. Your species is dangerous. Elara didn't blink. You should have remembered that before you tested us. Hours later, the council chamber was empty. Elara stood alone beneath the stained glass ceiling. Her fingers traced the edge of her wrist interface, now powered down. The override beacon had burned itself out. Earth's position was secured, for now. Ambassador Khaled joined her quietly. Was this always going to be the way? No, Elara said. But they left us no choice. He looked up at the stars beyond the ceiling. You think they'll try again? Elara considered it. Maybe. But next time, they'll remember who we really are. Back on Earth, President Atwood stood before the world's media. She spoke not in fear or arrogance, but certainty. Humanity has waited patiently in the shadows of galactic politics, choosing diplomacy over dominance. We have tolerated insult, endured sabotage, and extended peace. But let this be known, we were never naive. We were preparing. The age of pretending is over. Earth will now stand not as a subordinate, but as a sovereign. Somewhere on a distant moon, in a Gorthan War Council room, the last transmission from a Shentarest drift played on repeat. Silent faces watched as human satellites dismantled a fleet in seconds. An admiral spoke finally. "They never stopped being what we feared." A second voice, older, gravel-edged. "No. They just learned how to hide it better than we did."